Good afternoon, hello, and welcome to the OMNI Coalition News Show, aka TOCNS. This show is an amalgam of strange, weird, bizarre, off-the-wall, and otherwise things you don't normally see anymore from most news sources these days. During a time of political overabundance and divisiveness, we present you with more unifying topics to discuss, for the most part. For links to those articles, the music done by Carrera, and anything else potentially interesting, check the underbar of the description below. Anyway, I am Xander, and today I am joined by Brendoom Fraser, aka Doom Guy, aka Rhombusser. He's currently AFK, but he will be back at some point, hopefully relatively soon. Anyway, today is, what is today? November 30th, Tuesday, right? Wednesday. I am completely off my rocker right now. Wednesday, November 30th, 2022. Wow, I am tired. I should probably take a nap after this. Anyway, so moving on. Starting us off in Rebel News, we have Canada could displace half of Russian energy, says study, but Trudeau Liberals remain an obstacle. Of course. Let's see here. What does this have to say? Blah, blah, blah. Who would have thought? Yeah, there we go. What a great way to start an article right there. Over the next 7 to 10 years, Canada could offset upwards of 59% of Russia's annual natural gas exports and 46% of its crude oil exports, amounting to 7.72 billion cubic feet per day, BCF/D, and 1.85 million barrels per day, or BPD, respectively. After Russia invaded Ukraine in February of 2022, many observers noted that the Kremlin's national gas and oil exports funded the tanks and rockets, inflicting death, pain, and suffering on the Ukrainian people. Oh, why am I out of breath? I don't know why. Gotta stop with the pumpkin pie. Anyway, according to the Paris-based International Energy Agency, IEA, oil and gas revenues comprise approximately 45% of Russia's federal budget in 2021. SecondStreet.org President Colin Craig contended that Russia has created what is likely to be a long-term problem that the world needs to erase or to ease off Russian energy. The report articulates that even if Russia pulled its forces out of Ukraine, it would be irresponsible to purchase Russian energy as usual and unwise to believe that Russia's military aggression concludes with Ukraine. So yeah, just stop buying things from Russia. Stop buying things from China. You know, like, vote with your dollar. Like, the money makes the world go around. You know, yeah, it's going to be really, really difficult. Like, admittedly, we just bought like one of the inflatable lawn ornaments for Christmas, like a large 7-foot tall Santa. Most likely it was made in China. I haven't looked, but I mean, you know, until things start shifting, and we gotta force it to shift in one way or another. Like, so start buying only things made in your country, start buying only things made in countries that you support, you know, stuff like that. Like, yeah. Anyway, moving on up here, more from Rebel News. Taxpayers Federation holds Trudeau Liberals accountable for being $20.2 billion over budget this fiscal year. What a surprise. The left is the highest tax rates, and the highest overspenders. Quote, Canadians are paying too much tax because the government wastes too much money, quote, said Franco Terrazino, federal director of the CTF. What did I just say? I seriously, I did not read this beforehand. This is, you know, I'm reading this as early as you are listening to this, relatively. Quote, if Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland's spending wasn't over budget, she could provide meaningful tax relief and still lower the deficit, end quote. Yep. After several expensive pandemic relief programs, the Liberals appear to be practicing fiscal discipline and taking steps to reduce budget deficits. And it says here, the fiscal update showed the federal government spent $20.2 billion over budget this fiscal year. Budget 2022 released in April projected spending to be $452.3 billion this year. The fiscal update projected $472 billion in spending. So they're even over budget even when they're projecting stuff. It says here, quote, Canadians can't afford gasoline or groceries because the government is spending like crazy and raising taxes. Freeland must stop wasting so much money and cut taxes now, end quote, said Terrazino. So, and as always, you know, you can go to this website. The link will be in the underbar for further reading. I'm going to finish this up here. Instead, Freeland, who also serves as Deputy Prime Minister, advised Canadian families to look closely at their expenses and cut their Disney Plus subscription. Yes. Yes. Every mother in Canada is doing that right now. We're saving only $13.99 a month, but every little bit helps. That was a quote from Freeland right there. And yeah, so I mean, like, every little bit does help. You know, $13.99 a month, that's not a lot, but an extra $14 to put in your gas, you know, another couple of gallons. Hey, you know, sacrifices must be made. And there are ways to, you know, to view these things that are technically legal. So there's always another way. There's no reason why you should be spending money on Disney. So anyway, moving on up more from Rebel News here. Justin Trudeau called out for lying under oath. What a surprise. Not. Says here, Conservative MP Ryan Williams took to Twitter to air the frustration shared by many Canadians when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau denied his vilification of unvaccinated Canadians under oath during his testimony at a Public Order Emergency Commission, POEC, on November 25th. The commission is a legislative proceeding that takes place after the invocation of the Emergency Acts, which was invoked by Trudeau on February 14th in response to the trucker protests that idled in Ottawa for nearly 3 weeks. So great, he did that on my birthday last year. Wonderful. The tweet includes a compilation video contrasting Trudeau's testimony with an interview he conducted with a Quebec television station while campaigning in September of 2021. Yep. So, there we go. Liars, scoundrels, cheats, backstabbers, you know, all manner of awful and horrible things you can call these people and accuse them of, all would be correct. So, yep. And 2023 is when shit really is going to hit the fan. So let's move on up here more from Rebel News, and we have a little bit more from Rebel News here, as you can see. We have a lot of articles for today. We have Danielle Smith gives an answer on the Alberta woman denied a life-saving procedure due to her vaccination status. Yeah. You know, like, at some point, it shouldn't matter. You know, like, if they're not vaccinated, but they need a procedure, then figure something out. It says, earlier this week at Alberta's Legislative Building in Edmonton, Premier Danielle Smith gave her speech on the throne, where she presented Albertans with her plan to enact the Alberta Sovereignty Act. Coming into play, Smith is delegated to her ministers the power to review federal policies and legislation for federal outreach. That shouldn't be difficult to ask. Certainly, her ministers will have their hands full in preparation for the legislative session early next spring, where her administrators will work to pass resolutions and legal challenges. After her speech, a question portion was allotted to media. Here is Premier Smith's answer. Which, I guess that's the end of that article. Nope. Yeah. So, this is a video. So, what is this?
Hi, Premier Smith. Celine Gellis here with Rebel News. You had previously announced to protect the vaccination...
Come on. Here, let's try this again. Well, anyway, come on. Well, let's see if it'll work after I refresh it here. So, here it is.
Hi, Premier Smith. Celine Gellis here with Rebel News. You had previously announced to protect the vaccination...
No, they're not going to let us watch beyond that.
Alberta Human Rights Code. You've backed off that plan for this sitting, but lives are still on the line. Annette Lewis was denied a transplant because of her vaccination status, and she will die without it. Does your government have plans to address this medical coercion?
I am seeking a second opinion on that particular case, and I know that there is at least one other case as well. So as soon as I have a result from that, I will let you know. But on the general issue, I've been pretty clear that we do not want to see discrimination against anybody on the basis of their booster status or their vaccination status. And I'm hopeful that the business community and other entities operating in this province have heard that message loud and clear, and will make sure to bring their policies into alignment with that objective.
Do you have a timeline for this? Because I feel like it is a very time-sensitive matter.
The difficulty with transplant patients is that they do have a protocol they go through to determine who has the best likelihood of survivability, and so that's why I need to have a second medical opinion. I don't want to supersede that, so I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to get an opinion in the matter of a number of weeks.
So basically, she doesn't care. All right, what a surprise. Anyway, let's move on up here more from Rebel News. Will Victoria follow New South Wales' call to scrap invalid COVID fines? I don't know. Will you, Victoria? Let's see. Pressure is mounting on the Victorian government to follow New South Wales' lead and scrap COVID fines issued to members of the public after more than 33,000 fines were axed over the border in New South Wales. But Deputy Premier Jacinta Allen has reportedly handballed the call, saying it was up to Victoria's Attorney General to judge if the outstanding COVID-released or related fines would be scrapped. It comes as legal authorities renewed calls for COVID health order infringements to be thrown out. In Victoria, 40,843 fines were issued for COVID-related breaches, with just 8.6% paid. Goes on to say the New South Wales government will repay almost $33 million in COVID fines after the New South Wales government admitted in court this week that the penalties were invalid. The backflip affects more than half of the 62,138 penalty notices issued during the state's pandemic response. And it continues on there. Please refer to the underbar of the description for links to every single article that I have read and that I will read. And please give the foot traffic to the actual sources here. They put in the work. I'm just reading for you. So, but that is interesting. So, yeah. Will they? I hope they do scrap the invalid fines because, I mean, they're invalid. So, right off the bat, they're invalid. Scrap them. So they should. Anyway, let's move on up here. More from Rebel News. Alberta's premier suspends provisional gas tax, says it harms the poor and powerless. Yeah, no shit. So. Says here, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation applauded Alberta Premier Danielle Smith's move to suspend the provisional gas tax for at least the next 6 months amid rising inflation and costs on necessities. Yes, please. Because I believe it's also in Canada. Actually, no, I think it was the UK. Yeah, it was the UK, I believe, that is actually, the doctors are prescribing, actually, no, I think it was Canada. Anyway, it's one of those two. The doctors are prescribing heat to certain patients, like the right to have warmth over the winter. Like, if we've really gotten to that level, we are in dire straits. But it says here, quote, the provisional gas tax usually costs people about $15 every time we fill up a pickup truck in Alberta, so seeing it suspended is a good thing, end quote, said Chris Sims, Alberta director for the CTF. Continues to quote, this fuel tax relief will also take some of the sting out of the high cost of diesel, so that helps with job sites and costs and shipping essentials, end quote. Yes, as trucks make the world go round. Gas, and diesel specifically is the backbone to everything. Without trucks moving supplies and whatnot, goods and services, everything would come to a grinding halt. And I think actually we're down to I haven't been keeping it up. I haven't been keeping up to date. But I think we're down to 15 or 10 days left on our diesel, reserves. I'm not sure. Maybe it's not as bad as that anymore. I don't know. But it's not doing good stuff here.
I have returned.
I see you have returned.
I was gonna say, yeah, I was grabbing a shower. I was just like, you know what, I might as well grab one.
Well, where did you take it? You grabbed the shower? Did you move it, or did you just strangle the shower?
I went upstairs. Huh. Yeah, I grabbed it. I picked it up and walked away with it.
Damn, I believe you. But it continues on here. In a live address Tuesday evening, Premier Danielle Smith announced the province will suspend the gas tax for at least 6 months. Smith also promised that reducing or eliminating the tax based on changes in the price of a barrel of oil will become a permanent policy of the UCP government. Hello, duck. Quack. That is one bright duck you got there.
Very, very. He's very smart.
He's radiating with intelligence.
He's radiating knowledge.
Knowledge. Eating my linguine with my Lamborghini.
I was going to turn my light on, but then I thought about it and I was like, nah. I don't think they want to see the mess that is my room.
Well, look at my background. So.
Yeah, mine's worse. You can see like a pile of clothes probably if I had my light on.
Probably. I haven't really been studying your background, but yeah, that is your crib. So
yeah, I gotta get it cleaned up. I gotta get it all cleaned up and then.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I know you just came in at the end of this article here, but what are your thoughts about a 6-month suspension of gas tax? In Canada. Yeah.
It's not even necessary. Why the fuck would you put a gas tax? There shouldn't even be a tax to begin with. There shouldn't have ever been a tax.
Yeah, well.
There shouldn't be a tax on anything.
Well, to some things there should be taxes because, like, public works, like roads, bridges, and hospitals and schools and all that stuff. But I mean, when there's not just federal tax, but state tax, and then local tax, and this tax, and that tax, like, out here in California, like, every dollar we spend is, like, 30 to 40 cents out of that is tax, if not more. Like, I don't know the exact number, but it's a big, it's a lot of tax. So, anyway, let's move on to hear more from Rebel News. Apple helped Chinese Communist Party to suppress protests by restricting crucial iPhone feature. I wonder what it is. It says here, as anti-lockdown protests continue across China, it has been revealed that Apple restricted the use of its AirDrop functionality on iPhones in China. What is that? The move, which happened weeks ago when the protests were first starting, has hampered the organizational efforts of protesters whose ability to coordinate action is limited by the Chinese government's strict censorship and control on social media. As detailed by Rebel News, widespread protests erupted all across China over the weekend and over the country's zero-COVID policy, which led to the deaths of 10 people at least last week in a high-rise building in Urumqi, which I think I remember hearing about that. Mm-hmm. Protests were staged in Shanghai, Wuhan, Hangzhou, and the nation's capital of Beijing, and even as far as Hong Kong, where protesters held up bank papers to protest the communist country's censorship of criticism over the lockdowns. So this is not just telling... Okay, so here we go. Earlier in November, Apple released an update to iPhone users in China to restrict the use of AirDrop, which protesters used to send messages directly to each other and evade censorship. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's like an Apple sharing system.
Yeah, AirDrop allows for local peer-to-peer connections in the immediate vicinity, which makes it difficult for authorities to monitor and censor. And they took that away from them. Those bastards. That's just disgusting. But not surprising at all. So, yeah. Here we go from Rebel News, and let's see. I got this just because you're going to be in the show, Brent Doom, you sports guy here. Mm-hmm. Iranian regime threatened World Cup football players with violence and torture. Jeez. And this is, of course, soccer. So, the Iranian government is threatening the country's football team with imprisonment if they engage in political activity while representing Iran at the World Cup, and a security source said. Wow. Ahead of Iran's match with England, the team refused to sing their national anthem in a spectacle that was viewed as an act of solidarity with the protesters who are currently taking to Iran's streets to voice their discontent with the government's oppression of women. According to a source who spoke to CNN, the act of defiance earned the team a meeting with members of the Iranian National Guard Corps, IRGC, where players were threatened with violence and torture if they act up again. Photos of them bowing to Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi during the protests ahead of their trip to Qatar prompted outrage on social media among Iranians who decried the players as toadies for their hardline regime, not Iran. So, dang. Politics just really getting into everything. So, it used to be, though, that sports were the entertainment wing of politics, because what better way to keep everybody under the thumb than to keep them entertained? You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's all sports really are, you know, like, especially football and rugby and the hard-hitting sports. It's just modern-day gladiatorial combat without the death. So, and the wild animals.
You know, surprisingly, in gladiator battles, there weren't as many deaths as you would think. There were.
Yeah.
But they weren't executions like they show them in the movies.
Oh yeah, no, that's
like the stab. Like if they happened to stab them and they died, that's it.
Yeah.
There it is. I mean, they don't go to jail for it.
Yeah.
Because they're paid to do it. They're paid to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, they were paid. They were even trained. They even had a training regime. I didn't know that up until last year. I found that out.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, I remember seeing like they uncovered about 20 years ago or so, they uncovered like a whole like training grounds and stuff somewhere around the Coliseum. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on up here from Oddity Central. A woman spends 12 years saving up money to get her brother married. Well, that's kind of pushing what you want on your brother, but okay. A Chinese woman recently sparked controversy online after claiming that she has spent the last 12 years of her life trying to raise enough money to ensure that her brother finds a bride. What business of it is hers? It's no secret that securing a bride in China is harder than in most other countries. Well, okay, now I understand. One of the unexpected effects of the Asian country's notorious one-child policy was gender inequality. For decades, many couples, especially in rural regions, aimed for boys, turning to sex-selective abortion and even infanticide to make sure that their only child was a boy. Males were strong enough to work and more likely to be successful enough to look after the elderly parents later in life. Only that created a serious gender inequality in China, with more bachelors for every single woman, which makes it very difficult for men to secure a bride. In some cases, their families offer them financial support to increase their chances of finding a suitable bride. Wow. So let's just read this last product here, this last paragraph. But to truly understand the need for financial support in what is considered a matter of the heart, we need to talk about bride price. This long-standing Chinese tradition of the groom's family having to offer gifts to the bride's family in exchange for her hand has changed significantly over the last few decades. In the 60s and 70s, modest gifts like bedding were the norm. Then in the 80s, it was household electronics like TVs and refrigerators. But since the economic boom that started in the 90s, things escalated to the point where bride prices are now paid in cash, cars, and houses. Oh my God. So these guys are out there giving houses to people to ensure marriage. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's... Oh.
Glad I'm not Chinese. So, not like I'm looking for a bride anyway right now, but yeah. But yeah, that's rough. Anyway,
Yeah, it is.
Rough weight loss massage leaves woman with ruptured kidney. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if we reported it on this yesterday because I saw this yesterday, but I think I skipped it or something. Chinese woman required emergency surgery to have half of her kidney removed after a rough weight loss massage session. Ay, ay, ay. The 41-year-old woman, referred to only as Mrs. Meow, a pseudonym, reportedly wanting to lose some weight with help of a massage, so she went to a salon in Hangzhou, China's Zhejiang province, for a session. Midway through the special weight loss massage, the woman could barely stand the pain in her abdomen, but when she was told the masseuse about it, she said that it was just the fat leaving her body. That apparently reassured Mrs. Mao, and she gritted her teeth through the rest of the session, but the pain in her abdomen only got worse after she went home. Hours after the weight loss massage, the middle-aged woman started experiencing symptoms like vomiting and diarrhea, and by the time her family took her to a local hospital, she was already in a semi-comatose state. After hearing that she had been complaining of abdominal pain, doctors performed an abdominal CT scan, which revealed a ruptured agiomyophila in her left kidney, whatever that is. Renal agiomyophila is a benign tumor in the kidney which doesn't usually have any symptoms and doesn't pose any danger. The usual course of action after discovery is active surveillance to ensure the tumor doesn't grow or start to bleed. So it sounds like they put pressure on it and caused it to rupture. So, that's not good. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and there's not much more left of this to read, so I'll let the people go and read it themselves.
Alright, I'll be right back. I gotta take this.
Alright. But yeah, like, you need to, if you want to lose weight, do it the normal way. Don't go out and get your body rubbed like water, Anyway, moving on up to the Mirror. Death row killer spared lethal injection after he was poked with needles for an hour. An execution survivor has been ordered by a judge not to have another lethal injection after officials botched up his death. Alan Eugene Miller, a former delivery driver convicted of killing 3 men in a workplace shooting in Birmingham, Alabama, U.S. in '99, was due to be executed in September of 2022. That's quite a long time to be on death row, especially for Alabama. Come on. However, his death was halted because of problems establishing an intravenous line as officials poked him with needles for over an hour. Miller was also left hanging vertically as he lay strapped to a gurney at one point. But after a stay of execution, Miller reached a settlement on Monday which stated he would never be killed using lethal injection again. The inmate claimed the state lost his paperwork, which chose nitrogen hypoxia as his execution preference. He revealed he was left tortured during the state's botched attempt. So, damn. Well, he murdered 3 people, so he deserved the torture, every little bit of it, if he was the murderer, that is. But, yeah. Like, I know we have a whole thing against cruel and unusual punishment, but hey, you know, you throw your life away by taking somebody else's, you are no longer, you no longer have rights yourself. So, anyway, moving on up from the mirror, to 2 more confirmed cases of deadly bacterial infection in pupils after a girl at the age of 6 has been died. 2 more cases of the deadly bacteria infection which killed a 6-year-old girl have been confirmed in a neighboring primary school. An unnamed pupil at Ashford Church of England Primary School died, and another was taken to hospital following an outbreak of strep throat, or strep A, last week. The UK Health Security Agency has now been notified of cases of strep A as Year 1 and Year 6 at nearby Ashford School, where the 3rd pupil has closely related condition, scarlet fever. So I'll leave the rest. I'll leave the rest to for the audience to read yourselves. But that's concerning. So yeah, hopefully they get a clamp on that here real soon. Moving on up more from the mirror. A body of a girl at the age of 5 discovered set in concrete and used by her mom as a bedside table. What? Oh my god, dude, bruh. A mom has been arrested after a horrifying discovery was made in which the body of her daughter was found set in concrete and used as a bedside table. Vanessa Alejandra Mancilla, at the age of 27, claimed to police she found 5-year-old Milagros dead. But police accuse her of placing her daughter's body in a nylon bag inside of a wooden box before filling it with concrete, according to reports. Friends and family claim that friends and family claim that she favored her 2 other children, aged 7 and 3, while Milagros was often left alone in unsanitary conditions. The mom is said to have had used the crate as a bedside table in her San Andreas, Buenos Aires, Argentina home for at least a few months. Well, that's just awful. So I can't imagine, like, why some people, like, have children and do that. That's, God, she doesn't even look like she cares. What a bitch. So anyway, moving on more from the mirror here. Terror as dad dragged 25 feet in the air with no restraint or in Winterland horror. So I wonder what happened. It says here, a dad says his restraint on a Christmas ride came loose and saw him lifted into the air at a high speed. Chris Miller said the incident at the Swansea's waterfront Winterland has left his 10-year-old daughter very traumatized. Yeah. Chris visited the museum park attraction at about 11:30 in the morning on Saturday with his partner Lucy, and his daughter Summer. Pardon me. He claimed the Moon Dancer ride had already been stopped once due to his safety concerns shortly before it restarted, and his restraint came completely off. The 39-year-old said he feared for his life as he was allegedly carried to a height of around 25 feet before the ride halted. His daughter Summer was petrified and lost her voice because she was screaming so loudly in the seat next to him. A spokesperson for Student Fun Fairs, which operates the ride, said the Moon Dancer operated exactly as intended and as any customer would hope for it to do, quote unquote. They added that, quote, the failsafe engaged and the operator was able to check the ride and later fully reinstate it without concern, end quote. So, the fairground is run by A2H Live and Sayers Events, which are both also involved in operating Cardiff's Winter Wonderland, where 3 people were injured on Saturday after coming off a ride in midair, reports Wales Online. 2 of those were hurt were taken to the hospital following the incident, which was being investigated by the health and safety executive. So, this is a danger park, I see. Then avoid at all costs. So, yeah. Moving on up more from the mirror. A man returns from a holiday to find his flat cleared out in mix-up and his dad's ashes tossed. Wow. Wow, that's devastating. A man returned from holiday to find everything he owned gone, including his dad's ashes, after contractors cleared the wrong flats. Warren Dodds has been left with nothing after the incredible mix-up, which happened at his housing association home in Newcastle. Contractors Orbis Protect had been hired by Bernicata Homes to clear another flat in the building and accidentally cleared the wrong one. It is thought everything was thrown in a skip. The Housing Association has since apologized for the devastating impact it has had on Mr. Dobbs, the BBC reports. The 29-year-old barber, who also lost photos of his late father, said, "It's devastating. I'm so gutted. All the pictures and memories of my dad are gone, and I'll never get them back. It's all been destroyed." That my heart goes out to him. Like, I can't even imagine, you know, like, you know, whoever was in charge of that clearing operation needs to be fired and barred from ever being employed again. You know, like, this guy just threw away his rights. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna get mad. I gotta move on up. Well, more from the Mirror. People are just discovering what the red Christmas light is actually meant for. I thought it was about, it was a blinker thing. I don't know. With Christmas Day creeping upon us, many may be starting to take their trees out of the loft and put them up for display in their living room. Meanwhile, others may have had theirs up for weeks. Upon the scramble of looking through decorations and lights, you most likely will have stumbled across a small red light bulb that had been left clueless about its purpose. Many have claimed that they believe the small red light to be a spare bulb or a replacement. However, a woman has shared that the red light's proper use and it's game-changing for festive decor. So I think it's about blinkers, right? See here. Taking to TikTok, a woman explained the little-known use of the small light, and her demonstration has rocketed in views online. Her video, which was shared on the popular video streaming service, has surpassed a whopping 19.2 million views since posting. Wow. The woman shared a demonstration of her putting the light to its intended use. You start by simply removing a single bulb and replacing it with the red one. Ah, yes, it does add a flickering effect. That's what I thought. Remove regular bulb and replace, the TikToker advised in her demonstration. The extra light is not only different in color from the rest, but it also gives the string of lights a flickering effect rather than using a modern-day remote. The woman admitted, "I was 8 years old when I found out what these are for." So, in the classic, internet meme way. No, I've known that all my life. Like, I've known that those are, you put those in and it turns it into a flicker. So, yeah, so, wow. I'm actually someone who knew something most people in the world didn't. That's pretty cool. Anyway, moving on up to UPI, better known as OOPI, large and mysterious object unearthed on Florida beach. Officials in a Florida county are trying to identify a mysterious long-buried wooden object partially unearthed by erosion. Volusia County officials said the object, which appears to be part of a wooden structure, was unearthed in Daytona Beach shores by erosion following Hurricanes Ian and Nicole. Quote, "This erosion is unprecedented at this point. We haven't seen this kind of erosion in a very long time," end quote. Volusia Beach Safety Deputy Chief Tammy Malpers told WKMG-TV. Goes on to say, quote, "I've been on the beach probably 25 years, and that's the first time I've seen it exposed," end quote. So, that's interesting. Let's take a look at this.
All new at 6 tonight, a mystery.
During low tide. Now they are calling on the state.
It may be, it's just another example of how much erosion these storms caused.
The erosion on the beach from these storms is pretty unprecedented at this point. We haven't seen this kind of erosion in a very long time.
A long enough time that Volusia officials have never seen this structure before and are left puzzled as to what it is. Beach safety taking these pictures from above.
I've been on the beach probably 25 years, and that's the first time that I've seen it exposed.
Deputy Chief Tammy Malfer says the long wooden structure was spotted after Nicole battered Volusia's coast. It's just south of Frank Rendon Park and Daytona Beach shores, an inaccessible area for beachgoers right now. State emergency management teams are currently working around it while they try to build a system to protect the dunes, but officials do believe it could be historic.
We're not sure what it is, but it's a large piece of debris, probably about 80 to 100 foot in length. That's why we notified the state underwater archaeological team.
And the county says a state archaeologist.
I'm gonna say that looks like the keel of a boat. Like, that's what that looks like. So, let's keep an eye on that and see where that leads. So, but anyway, more from Oopie. North Carolina man collects 11,000 bottles of hot sauce. That's a lot of bottles of hot sauce. Says here, North Carolina man has what he believes is to be the world's largest collection of hot sauce, totaling about 11,000 bottles. High Point resident Vic Klimko, who started collecting hot sauce about 26 years ago, says his collection now totals about 11,000 bottles and is believed to be the largest collection of hot sauce in the world. Quote, it has turned into an obsession, Klimko told WFMY TV. What started as a small collection has grown into me being at the center of a culture that surrounds hot sauces, end quote. Goes on to say, Klimko, who documents his collecting on social media, said he has been in contact with Guinness World Records about making his collection officially the largest in the world. He says he hopes to organize tasting events in the future. Well, that'd be cool. Yeah, let's
anybody who knows me well knows my love for hot.
A lot of hot sauce.
Just taking them off the vine and just eating them and sweating, right? Just giggles, and I thought, wow, that's kind of...
Well, like, it's not... I'm trying to see if they show... Here we go. Look at that. That's a lot of hot sauce.
Damn.
And it looks like he has all these flags, so it looks like there's international, too. I mean, that would explain it. But the actual... This is what we have for the thumbnail of today's episode. So... That's like, look at that. Like, looks like there's grenades here, like something in a triangular box. Like, look at all the different variants. Like, there's a lot. And I was looking at this: whoop ass, bacon, hot sauce, surrender the booty, chili lime, Caribbean red. You know, wild. A lot of different hot sauces out there. Fat Cat. Huh. You know, I wonder if he has the entire collection. Oh my God, Christmas Vacation has a line. Wow. That's actually hilarious. I had no idea. Christmas Vacation hot sauces. Garlic, jalapeno, cayenne, more jalapeno, cayenne, habanero. So, but I wonder if they have everything from Hot Ones. If he has the entire lineup that Hot Ones has ever used, you know, during From First We Feast and all that stuff. You like hot sauces, right, Doom?
Mm-hmm. I don't have that many, though. We literally just have sriracha and Tabasco.
I remember when sriracha became, like, a thing. Like, were you around when...
Sriracha's pretty good.
Yeah. Like, do you remember back in, like, the late 2000s, or I think after 2010, I don't remember. But, like, for, like, 6 months, like, sriracha was the hot ticket item, you know? Like, it was everywhere. Yeah. And then
we used to put it on. We made like some for like bowl-looking thing for food. Put like peppers and stuff in it, like peppers, chicken, beef, a little bit of beef,
Sounds
salt
tasty.
and pepper and all that. We'd also put sriracha on it. I'd put sriracha on it whenever I ate it.
I wonder if he also has Frank's red sauce or whatever it's called. If he puts that shit on everything. Anyway, speaking of foods, last but not least, article of the day from AP News: Crunch time. The baguette gets United Nations World Heritage status. What? Oui, baguette.
Go French! Go French! Let's go!
Go French! The humble baguette.
Go ancestors!
The
Go one part of my ancestry.
Oh, remember that video I have, A Symphony of Crackle? The guy on the press, like, A Symphony of Crackle. The humble baguette, the crunchy ambassador for French baking around the world, is being added to the UN's list of intangible cultural heritage as a cherished tradition to be preserved by humanity. Yes. UNESCO, experts gathering in Morocco this week, decided that the simple French flute... What? That's the French flute. That sounds so wrong. Made only of flour, water, salt, and yeast, deserved United Nations recognition after France's Culture Ministry warned of a continuous decline in the number of traditional bakeries, with some 400 closing every year over the past half-century. That's worrisome. The UN Cultural Agency's chief, Audrey Azoulay, said the decision honors more than just the bread. It recognizes the savory, or the savoir-faire of artisanal bakers and a daily ritual. Quote, "It is important that such craft knowledge and social practices can continue to exist in the future," end quote, added Azoulay, a former French culture minister. I'm just going to go ahead and finish off the article here. The agency defines intangible cultural heritage as, quote, traditions or living expressions inherited from our ancestors and passed on to our descendants, end quote. With the bread's new status, the French government said it planned to create an artisanal baguette day called the Open Bakehouse Day to connect the French better with their own heritage. Good. So, that's cool. You know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, that's more of a significant moment in history than, like, I'm giving it credit, because, like, that's world heritage. Like, that is, like, I mean, stereotypes are stereotype, and this is like a confirmed stereotype, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I believe that shall conclude the show. Once again, you can check the underbar of the description for any links you may be interested in, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. For your dose of different, odd, and otherwise unknown news, we stream Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time.
It'll be 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep. For all of you and all of us, I am Xander.
I am the Slayer.
And you are you. And until you catch us tomorrow, or if you're interested in history, we have a history show every single day at 10 in the morning Pacific Time. Whenever you see us next time, until then, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles!